And so in the course of trying to get information, and justification for the questions isn't necessary, except for there has been issues raised within the community as well as the legal counsel and concerns of the trustees, that those of you that are seeking a position, this is an appointed position. You will serve the people of the township through the resolution, the laws of the township for the zoning board that you may serve on. It is important that you understand it is not the role of the trustees to advise you in a meeting. Never have I attended a meeting and given direction, or, matter of fact, I went to one meeting and made a statement on behalf of individuals as it stacked up. First meeting, zoning meeting, as a trustee that I have had any input in, and we may attend the meetings, and that is only proper to see that the people are being served and served well. If it be inappropriately, it is much ours as homeowners, as property owners, as members of the township to make our voices known that there may be an issue that would not best serve the people. In course of history, we have other appointments. We do not have to select any one of you that are here tonight. It is not mandated that we select whoever applies. It is only mandated that we fill the board to the best of our needs in filling that board. Now, have you got any questions that you like? Okay. Because you're going to have some tough questions coming at you. Okay? Yeah, welcome, Doug, first time. Okay, Kevin, I know he's not near as old as Doug. He's already got calluses in those meetings.
You at least had coffee for us. That's all I would say.
Okay. But in the course of fulfilling these, it is important. In the past, we have had hearings that were scheduled, and it was brought to the trustees. It was imperative you fill these positions to have a quorum or at least a full slate of members before that hearing takes place. And it's only appropriate to effectively do it for the homeowner or the resident of the township that they've been given a fair shot, which means in these positions on these boards, you will have an active member and you will have an alternate. Those alternates are very important to serving the process, and this is all in the form of due process. Make sure everyone's treated equally, fairly, and legally. Meaning that if a hearing takes place and one of the active members is unable to make it for some unforeseen reason, only an alternate in attendance to that, having from day one heard the case, may step in. So it's important that all alternates do appear and participate, if necessary, in those meetings. Now, maybe you may not come in with a full knowledge of the resolution. In other words, our township laws. It's not that everyone that knows them exactly. These are provisional laws that I think you can understand that they grant us morons to try to make the best out of as we go along. We have legal counsel that is available in the event of questions and so on. So, in the course of time, I'm going to go ahead and review, if you would, some of the questions, but it is important that you understand that we are under oath to the township. You are not. Your appointment is an appointment that is intended to be till you decide that you shall no longer deserve or need to serve, or you're found in violation, and you can be removed from an appointed position. In misconduct of ethics or anything else, you can and you shall be removed if these trustees find grounds for it. Okay? And going forward with that, legal counsel is aware that I have requested training for the existing zoning appeals board. Training that will contribute towards the productivity of getting a case in, a request from which will come through your zoning inspector, that will come forward and in due process, making sure that it follows the right steps. So as that information comes in, it is appropriate that your conduct reflect that of the people of the township, not your personal interest, not your suspicions, leave them at home. You will serve the people and not your own needs. Okay? So, I will start, if you guys are in agreement. Have you got any questions so far? Feel free to ask. And I'll introduce, I would like to introduce to you before we start, Mr. Chuck Dooley, trustee, Mr. Jim Verts, trustee, and I, Ron Williams, trustee and chair of the meeting tonight. We request, and we got some coming in now. Again, any comments or questions, you will direct those to the chair. If it is to a trustee, then that trustee may respond to the chair, and that answer will be related to you unless he so speaks and wishes to speak to you. Okay? All right, some of the questions that you're going to be asked tonight, gentlemen, basically are this. Have you ran for or ever sought an appointment to any Union Township position? Do you feel you are able to set aside your personal feelings or interests to the best of your ability to provide a fair and equal opportunity to all residents, property owners to seek a zoning permit? Do you feel that if appointed by the trustees, you would be willing to serve in the position of chairperson, secretary, or other in an organizational meeting? We have folks that like to serve, but nobody wants to work at the position. Don't seek the job if you can't feel you can represent the people as a chairperson, okay, or vice chair or secretary, because it's all an integral part, and those positions will rotate by the person, not necessarily the position, okay, because maybe your chairperson for one may be rotated out and an alternate come in. So that person wouldn't be necessarily eligible as such to serve as chair. So you need to think about accepting the responsibility of being fully involved in serving that board. Do you presently have any known litigation against this township or notice of non-compliance violations of the township? Do you feel failure to perform as a zoning member, projecting inappropriate personal conduct or character should be addressed by the trustees, legal counsel, or people of the township? Do you feel you can, without bias, respond to a property owner's request or concern on any legal or published issue facing the zoning of Union Township, and if unable, be willing to recuse yourself? Not really tough. Not really tough. But there are some other questions. Okay. So, gentlemen, if you like, we can go ahead and start with Mr. Hurst and Kevin.
Yeah, the first question, I certainly...
Okay, I'm going to pass this down.
I'm glad because
I'm not going to remember all
yeah,
that.
I wouldn't remember all that.
The first question, I was on the zoning appeals board several years ago, can't remember the exact...
Okay, just answer that first one only, if you would.
Yeah, I have.
Have you?
Yep, I've run for trustee, was trustee for 8 years.
Okay, if you would, gentlemen, hold that. I'm going to read the question so that those in attendance will know what it is. Have you, Mr. Hurst, ran for or sought an appointment or any position in Union Township? Yep. Okay. Mr. Williams.
Well, at one time I considered running for trustee and I had a petition, but it never went further than that. So other than that, it was...
Mr. Hurst, do you feel, this is question number 2 on your sheet, you are able to set aside your personal feelings or interests to the best of your ability to provide a fair and equal opportunity to all residents and property owners to seek a zoning permit?
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
do you feel you are able to set aside your personal feeling or interest to the best of your ability to provide a fair and equal opportunity to all residents and property owners to seek a zoning permit?
Yes.
Mr. Hurst, do you feel, if appointed by the trustees, you would be willing to serve in the position of chairperson, secretary, or other in any organizational meetings?
Yes.
Mr. Williams, do you feel, if appointed by the trustees, you would be willing to serve in the position of chairperson, secretary, or other in the organizational meetings?
Yes.
Mr. Hurst, do you presently have any known litigation against this township or notice of non-compliance violation from the township? Mr. Williams, do you presently have any known litigation against this township or notice of non-compliance violation from the township?
No.
Mr. Hurst, do you feel failure to perform as a zoning member projecting inappropriate personal conduct or character should be addressed by the trustees, legal counsel, or the people of the township?
Yes, I do.
Mr. Williams, do you feel failure to perform as a zoning member projecting inappropriate personal conduct or character should be addressed by the trustees, legal counsel, or the people of the township?
Yes, I do.
Mr. Hurst, do you feel you can, without bias, respond to a property owner's request or concern on any legal or published issue facing the zoning of Union Township, and if unable, be willing to recuse yourself?
Yes.
Mr. Williams, do you feel you can, without bias, respond to a property owner's request or concern on any legal or published issue facing the zoning of Union Township, and if unable, be willing to recuse yourself?
Yes.
All right, gentlemen, those are the 6 pertinent questions that we have that will be consistent. The remaining will be inconsistent according to the needs or desires of the, matter of fact, we might as well drill the suspect as he comes in with them. Okay, before we continue. Okay. Mr. Pullins, if you would, we'd like for you to sign in there. All right, Mr. Pullins, we are pleased that you were able to attend. Having attended as such, you are late, but I would like for you to know that opening statements that were made, unless you want those reaffirmed, you agree to accept and abide by all opening statements made previously.
I do.
Okay. You forfeited your right for me to throw you out on my name. What I did is opened it up we're going to open it up to those in attendance for questions as such, and those questions will be directed to the chair, comments either for or concerns as to either of you in an appointed situation. Okay? Now, Mr. Pullins, we have, it is important that you understand, I'm going to bring you up to snuff real quick, the 3 trustees sitting before you by the authority of the people of Union Township and by job description, we're required to fill these positions. It is important that you understand the three gentlemen sitting in front of you, Mr. Chuck Dooley, Mr. Jim Verts, and I, Ron Williams, the chair for the night, would like for you to understand that we three have taken the oath not only to the Constitution of the United States, to the state of Ohio, and to the best of our ability to perform and enforce the laws of Union Township. In so doing, the position that you are seeking tonight is not a position of oath of office. It is an appointment to serve at the will of these three trustees. It is not our desire to direct or affect you in your thinking in the course of making decisions in a meeting or prior to or after a meeting, unless we so set and make it clear to you that we are property owners that may affect us, and we will make that clear to the record at time, okay? But as trustees, you're expected to be able to perform in the capacity of, and we're going to ask you these questions, all right? These two gentlemen have already answered these questions. I will read them again. You have a copy, and you can read along with me. Mr. Pullins, let the record reflect that Mr. Pullins received the same statement as always, okay? Mr. Pullins, have you ran for or sought appointment to any Union Township position?
The only one that I submitted my name for is appointment to the Board of Zoning Appeals or Zoning Commission.
Okay, thank you. Jim, do you or Chuck want to read these, or you want me to? Question number 2 that you have in front of you. Do you feel you are able to set aside your personal feeling or interest to the best of your ability to provide a fair and equal opportunity to all residents and property owners to seek a zoning permit?
Yes.
Question number 3. Do you, Mr. Pullins, feel if appointed by the trustees, you would be willing to serve in the position of chairperson, secretary, or other in the organizational meetings of that board? What that means is we're seeking people who will be active as positions open. It is important that you're able to carry on with the due process, okay, and elect between you and from among you the capable and willing to do that. And it's important that you understand you may be called on or may want to volunteer for said position.
And certainly I'm willing, with the understanding and expectation that there would be appropriate training made available for positions and particularly.
I'm not here to cut a deal. I'm just asking you if you take that position to be on that. And I have announced earlier, and it may be appropriate now to tell you that we are seeking training that will bring continuity.
You answered my question.
It is a demand, trust me, from the people of the township. Okay? So your answer is?
Yes.
Thank you. Number 4. Do you presently have any known litigation against this township or notice of non-compliance violation from the township?
No.
Number 5. Do you feel failure to perform as a zoning member projecting inappropriate personal conduct or character should be addressed by the trustees, legal counsel, or the people of the township? That means other board members as well.
Yes.
Number 6. Do you feel you can, without bias, respond to a property owner's request or concern on any legal or published issue facing the zoning of Union Township, and if unable, be willing to recuse yourself?
Yes.
Okay. Now, gentlemen, I will tell you that it's not to single you out, but that as we progress, it is the desire of this trustee to seek the input of the people of the township. The people of the township are very concerned about attitudes, conduct, and biases of individuals that they may or may not be serving on present boards, both the zoning commission and the zoning appeals. These have came to the council, to this trustee, and I'm sure council, if so wishes to speak for herself, will state their response. So these questions are being brought to you. Make sure that you understand that you are being held to a higher conduct, attitude, and service for the people of the township we appoint. We expect you to follow up with the understanding that when you're able and would ever need to take an oath of office, that you've done your job appropriately. Okay, I'll turn it over to the trustees to see if they have any further questions.
I have a question. I want those questions given to Linda or Ms. Walson, Mr. Gordon. So in future,
Oh, these are a record.
become record. And,
As soon as you initial and sign said,
right, that everybody be asked the same question.
these will be on file and placed with your appointment sheets, as such. Okay? Any questions that you have to the board? Again, we are seeking standardized, appropriate training. The purpose is not to make it complicated, folks. We all live in this township. We've been neighbors, our families. It's untelling how many of us are probably related to each other if you go back far enough. But the issue at hand is, don't make it complicated. See it big, keep it simple. That's the message that I feel that's appropriate. And we have challenging issues that will be facing all of us. We have at present a zoning commission that is doing an excellent job. We have a zoning appeals board that is finding its way, but they're good people and they're doing a good job. And I'm sure with coordinated training, it will be the best and the best results for the people of Union Township. So, now at this time, the chair would like to recognize the guests that are here tonight. If you feel that you would have a question for a specific candidate as such, direct that to the chair, and the chair will get you an answer. Any comments, maybe you'd like to support or against or have questions of, feel free to speak right up. Okay, none?
Not none. A question. You had made a comment that all of this was going to be presented to the people of the township. Were the people of the township asked to apply for this, or how did you come about with your candidates?
How did we seek candidates? The positions have been open. How did you get yours? How did anyone else get theirs? By invitation, by an individual, by word. When the need arose, a standardized form, if you'll see, I think these are standard, right? I made up by mutual understanding of the trustees. We made up forms, and those that inquired in order to make sure that all the information was the same. Now, some sent letters, okay? And we have folks that have applied that are ineligible. We researched those, and we have 3 that applied for it even tonight that were ineligible. And what could be an ineligible situation are those that are living in an incorporated area, not the township, and others that were associated with or presently held positions in a township. Okay? Now, the way this was solicited, we didn't put an ad in the paper. We had enough response after a few board hearings. Everybody wanted to be a board member. That's how it happened. Am I wrong, gentlemen? So in order to standardize that, I put together one, I think that, I tried to put together something of the nature that was an official, that if you come to a meeting, and if there are any of you that are here tonight, we welcome we welcome any and all individuals that would like to serve your township to please apply. Now, is there a formal process? Only what was by available requests that were made in the past. We usually just said, come to a meeting, signify you want to be, like you were. You know how many people we got? We were running a deficit all the time, weren't we, Chuck, Jim? And now, fortunately, we have got people that are interested. And that is very good for the township. We're moving forward. Okay? So, yes, if I could buy a slot in the paper and put an ad out there requesting any and all Union Township people interested to apply, I'd be glad to do that.
Why couldn't we do that? Why couldn't we put that ad in the paper?
Only a decision of the board. If it was made a request of the trustees.
I mean, you just said if you could do it, you would do it. I'm just wondering, is there something to stop
At the time this was done, I didn't have, we weren't of the mind to put it in the paper to ask for participants.
Never had to before.
But if you as a property owner or a resident are suggesting we can do that, we can do that.
Well, I certainly think it's difficult to understand who's interested if there's not some kind of solicitation or people don't realize there's opportunity.
Absolutely. See, that was the same question that came up about the existing boards. Who solicited them, how to get here? I said, we just take them as they come. And that's exactly what we did. When you apply, you went into a bank. Am I wrong, Chuck?
They wrote letters.
I'm not calling him for verification what I'm telling you. I'm telling you fact. But there's a gentleman that guided me, and Jim guided me into a procedure that worked well. So we kept up.
So just to understand the procedure, did we have 4 people that were interested? Except the ones that were ineligible, there were only 4 people interested? Over whatever period of time?
Correct. Correct. We had 7 total.
But in fairness, if you feel I would even make the motion that we put in the paper that asks for applicants.
Yeah, there's
Nothing wrong with that. And nothing
No.
wrong with that.
very good. I'd put it on a billboard out there. I'll furnish the marquee. I want people to be involved, or at least witness what they're seeing, and maybe they'll change their mind.
But in the past, some people don't want to serve, don't want to be,
Right.
that's been the problem before. And they get on there and then they leave, we've had that problem too.
Now, I don't want couch potatoes on a committee. That committee is to serve the people. You requested an appointment, I expect you to be proactive in that, which is to say, I'm here, well, whatever so-and-so says, yeah, I agree with him. You will be held accountable in future training for your decisions and a vote that you make. Stand ready to stand alone and at least give your vote as an individual. And that's very important. It's the talents, the skills, and the experience of each person that brings fairness to the due process. And I think coming and let us reason together is a good statement, and I think it exemplifies well your committee, Mr. Cole. I think it's a great motto. Come, let us reason together. Because you will be supplied the information and interpretation, if it needs defining, can be so through council. But we have a zoning inspector, and we have legal counsel, and we have a process that needs to be consistent for due process. Okay? Yes, ma'am.
Is there any requirement on revised code of how advertising is done, or is it just left up to, I just think about how we're being as a set up as part of that setting, the zoning commission for the cities, whoever shows an interest.
Pardon me?
May I?
Sure.
On the higher revised codes under 519, that's in chapter 519, allows for us as We have 5 board members, and we may, at our discretion, add 2 additional as alternates. So there's no set procedure for how we do it, but it's under chapter 519 of, excuse me, Ohio Revised Code. I've got laryngitis and I'm having a hard time talking.
Thank you.
Mr. Bailey, if I might add to that, I'm big on transparency. Don't faint, duck, or weave in a meeting. I don't like it. I will call it to order. We'll have question called and bring it up later. Okay? We have had too many meetings that have become quite contentious because individuals who are trying to spread barnyard bovine fertilizer doesn't get it with me anymore. Now, that is a strong indication of one thing. I have received some guidance. I am trying to abide by that, and we're going in a direction that will streamline our meetings, will make them effective, and individuals must stand personally accountable because, trust me, you will be held personally liable for your conduct. And if it becomes litigation, let it be between you and the individuals, not the township. Be ever so mindful. You are liable for personal responsibility. Having said that, is there anything else you'd like to do? I'd love to throw the levity on the whole thing, but I think the seriousness of the people's business going forward needs to be addressed and adhered to.
I
Yes.
think, respect these gentlemen to come down here. They're interested in the community. It takes the community to work together and move on.
We were pleased by a lot of the response, and I'll tell you, and Mr. Cole, this will answer your, and Mr. Rittenhouse, this will answer your question too. We had a lot of individuals that inquired, probably twice as many easily as what applied inquired. Okay? So the interest, and I'm going to say the knowledgeable voters out there are inquiring, and they're becoming more and more involved. Now, if it is for an agenda, personal reasons or whatever, I'll leave that at them. But don't bring it in to this trustee meeting and try to make an issue out of it. Meaning to try to sell an agenda when there are opposing sides. We're here to listen and do what is the fair and the best we can and direct it in the course of what direction it needs to go. If that goes through our zoning inspector, then that's what it is. But you do not need to place yourselves liable to an individual because he didn't receive maybe his request. It is done on a group basis and a vote. But it is important that you stand ready and accountable as the individual to give reason for it. Okay? Chuck, anything you'd like?
You want me to make that motion that we put it in the paper?
No, we'll do that at a regular
At the
meeting.
regular meeting?
I mean, that's my recommendation. I think tonight our sole purpose is to address these gentlemen and that whatever source or course that we go through with that, I think needs to be procedure. And if we're going to do that, then I think the trustees need to adopt that as a procedure to advance notice. There's no law that I'm aware of that states how we fill those for time, notice, notification, whatever. Okay? But I have done everything I can in the course of my travels. I've done business 35 years and operated 3 different businesses in this township. And a lot of folks have inquired consistently. And I have encouraged them. And in lack of handwriting that I really, with no disrespect, there's handwritings that I'm sure most of you and Wayne, our inspectors, found it's a little hard to read. Okay? And so therefore we tried to come up with something, and I came up with one, and I thought, if you can sign it, and we understand who you are, we'll try to get that done, and we'll get you notified, get you in here, and have a fair and equal hearing along with one else.
Well, some of them make their own out. Not all of them.
It's amazing, you use a crayon. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a lot of them that came in.
There's two of them that the
They
mayor
did.
owned.
We had some that came in and we weren't too sure.
I hate to trade all of them.
Okay, so what we did is they came to a meeting and they signed these. Okay? So this is not a dictatorship. It's just a matter of trying to make sure that due process does not take a vacation in the course of us doing our job.
Next question. You made a comment that the Board of Zoning Appeals and that the Zoning Commission, that you felt that they were all doing a good job. But then in some of your other comments, you seem to have a little anger there about some of the people that are on them, and it is very obvious. And we as a board, or at least I being on that board, are not aware of those particular concerns. You have said that you've stated many people have come and giving you reason or complained. Would you expound on that, please?
No, sir, I won't. I'm not here to address your needs and a reply to your needs in a zoning board. I'm giving you input that caused and initiated the purpose of this. Contact legal counsel. They'll reinforce what I just told you. I'm not mad. I'm telling you, those that came to me were madder than because they didn't understand. And understanding, lack of that, can create frustration. Not everyone is on the same ability to learn, receive, retain, and put it back. Not everyone can do that. So, if you think that I'm displaying frustration, then I'm sorry, but I am. I am frustrated with the number of individuals who have expressed concerns, and then I got to educate them to the fact that I do not tell that board what to do. You, sir, in the meeting made that very clear. Did you not?
I did, yes, sir.
Thank you. And as a result, I have no effect on your conducting your meetings and how you conduct them. Have I ever attended, or Chuck, Jim, have you ever attended or interfered with or had input into a zoning meeting?
I've attended, but I haven't interfered with anything. Just been a spectator.
Everyone should be treated, even an individual, and I'm going to tell you, I'll give you a good example, gentlemen, and you might as well get ready for this. We had at the last meeting, several meetings, we have an individual in our township that if he ever ended up in a zoning meeting, you'll have the sheriff's department there.
So,
You know what I'm talking about? Both of these gentlemen and myself have had to deal with this gentleman. Given time, I felt that a little counseling, little explanation, and Chuck, how many times have you tried to explain to that individual? And we did it right here in open meeting. It all fell to the wayside. Really, really. And this guy came around, this property owner and his wife, very impressed with the fact we didn't back down, and we informed them because their level of understanding wasn't what we thought that it was. They've been excellent people to work with. And we're talking about individuals that have basically all threatened these three trustees. It's a level of understanding, and we have a diversity of individuals in this township that is amazing. Wait till you go in their homes, wait till you sit with them and you deal with banks, lawyers, IRS, and so on and so forth that I've had the privilege to do for 35 years, and you'll know these people and where they came from and how they feel. There's different levels of understanding. Now, to explain to you, it is not for me to defend or to accuse anyone. It is for me to answer to the people who want to know. I'm a trustee. That is not. You need to bring those concerns to the board. They self-govern there. They will regulate an attitude as such. But mine is not going to be soft going forward, folks. I'm going to tell you that right now. Mine's going to be fact, due process, get it done, make the people whole. And if that seems impartial or hard, I do apologize for that, because that is not my personal nature. I'm representing several or multitude of forces coming at us from the township, wanting changes that we cannot make, we cannot affect. We just hope that those individuals involved realize that they may be contributing to a problem. Okay. Yes, sir, Mr. Paul?
I'd like to add to that, and I shared with you, Ron, one of the reasons I'm willing to serve. I had a realtor and a longtime Champaign County businessman come to me a couple months ago, looking for 5 to 10 acres to relocate their business, a nice brand new office, storage facilities, and so on. And as we shared some possibilities with them, a location in Union Township was mentioned, and he totally was upset, would never consider a location in Union Township because of the reputation. He would not subject himself to the obstructionist and the anti-business attitudes of the Union Township zoning because of the reputation and the stories that he had heard, and expecting that it would take him years, if ever, to get a property rezoned, and he didn't have years to do it. That's a travesty.
Yeah.
That's a blight on our community.
Yeah.
And it's not just that one businessman. It's a reputation that this township has, this county has, of being anti-business, and that needs to change.
Terry, to help you understand, we get calls all the time from banks, realties, trusts that are directed to the trustees, even these professional people who feel that maybe in your most simplest way of trying to be kind to give them an answer, they feel you're being evasive, and they want to warn you and place you on notice. They want to intimidate you. My job is not to intimidate anybody here, but my job is for you to truly understand. I will try my best to work with you and procure for you the best effort of due process. Whether you win or lose, I cannot affect, but I will affect the right decision that was made for you. Okay?
I agree with the comment that was just made, and that's also one of the reasons that I joined, because of the reputation that you guys had. So, I agree with that comment, and that's why I'm here now. Next question. Each of the candidates has stated that they are involved in no legal processes with the township, and I believe at least one of them has in the past been involved with some pretty extensive legal works with the township. How do you respond?
With the township, that individual's been directly involved with the legal issue with the township.
Yeah.
Are there any one of you that are aware of that question being placed to you? All right, let me redirect the question. Is there an individual in particular you'd like to?
Yeah, I'd like to ask Mr. Pullins, or the chair, if Mr. Pullins has, he has testified in a number of courts in business that is with Union Township, and the folks that he represented, particularly at that time.
Excuse me, he represented Union Township?
No, he represented the company and that is in litigation with Union Township at this time, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Okay. We have that on the boards already. We have that on the zoning appeals board. We have representatives that are involved, not directly, but indirectly associated with. Okay? My question to him, does any individual, as property owners, as residents of the township, are you personally in any litigation with the township? That's all this panel needs to know. Okay? Now, that would be an example that could be misinterpreted, but I know his sincerity on this. So if you don't mind, I'd like to
Please.
reflect on the fact that it's honorable what you're asking. And I can come point blank, and I don't beat around the bush. The wind turbine issue in Union Township has become a very insightful at times, according to different ideology, according to the haves, the have-nots, as I've heard it. It doesn't matter. But as far as being your interest there, does not take away from your right to serve in a township. Okay? You have others on board of the zoning commission, and you've had on the zoning appeals board members of a group representing an agenda either for or against.
Who's that?
I'm not here to cite that. I think so. No, it's not necessary.
Okay.
It's not necessary. And it's not my goal to do that. Those individuals are honorable people. And it is up for them to make life's decisions and choices for them, and they're honorable enough not to let it reflect in doing the people's business. That's honorable.
Thank you.
That has been honorable. Am I wrong, gentlemen? And I respect their private and personal business to remain theirs. If it comes, and I would ask the audience to please understand, I asked the question that was presented to each one of these gentlemen. Do you feel failure to perform as a zoning member, projecting inappropriate personal conduct or character should be addressed by the trustees, legal counsel, or people of the township? And they all said yes. I would really entertain, are there other members of the boards that are here tonight? Please don't answer yourself, or let yourself be known. How many of you were asked these kind of questions? Our past has led to a promising future, and that past was by honorable people kicking off their boots out of the milk house and coming to a parking lot or an old barn or a church or a garage and conducting honorably the people's business. We've come to a new age where we have to refine and stand accountable for what we are doing. I'm one, and nothing here that tells you I'm going to tell you I'm 100% right, 99% right, 75% right. My job is to make sure that due process takes place, and that's it. Okay? You may not like my choice of words, but if the meaning is simple and everybody receives the same words, so be it. Okay? I'm not here to impress anyone. I'm not here to try to dominate or put forward, but I'm here to stop a trend and a tendency, and it has been by the approval of Mr. Dooley and Mr. Verts and myself and legal counsel that we go forward with someone making sure the pace is set and kept right. And I appreciate the conduct. I'm going to say it right now. I appreciate the conduct of Mr. Cole. He's a gentleman that, and I know a lot of our members didn't come forward with training, and that's what you're going to have as you get into these. Gentlemen, moving forward, are there any more statements or comments, please? Okay? What we're going to do now, in review of the answers that were given, gentlemen, we have one position that needs to be fulfilled on the zoning appeals board. Okay? And that is what I will place before my fellow trustees. If you would consider your appointment for those, then feel free to speak it out. If you don't, if you think Hurst needs a sack over his head, say so. If you think, tell it like it is. Oh, wait a minute, got one in the back. Yes.
I thought you were going to advertise for people who might be interested before you make appointments.
No, ma'am. We're deciding tonight. We have solicited. Requests have been made. They have been on file. Given past due process, I want to make a gentle trend break from what has been done to where we're headed forward. The notice of these trustees have accepted these were on file, and they were told as such, and that they would be notified. We had more than what was needed for the filling. Now that our bank is low, we will consider and place at the next meeting some kind of a response, maybe a procedure going forward that will put an ad in the paper, give notice to everyone. Now, if you put it in the paper, how many of them don't get the paper? Are you following me?
I don't get it.
Yeah,
I
but
do
you
have
talk
a
about
question.
online or whatever. But to answer your question, if there's a need, if there's a question, and I've got two already, and I think it's appropriate that we consider that and go forward with some kind of public notice requesting individuals.
Were all the people that had letters on file with you invited to come to the interview?
For tonight,
Yes.
everyone. Everyone that I am aware of. We had 7 candidates. These are the 3 that are ineligible as such, notified them as such, but welcomed them in attendance. These are the 4 out of the 7, and I did have some that asked that they couldn't serve, so they were moving on or doing whatever, and so those were pulled. But the 4 that we have tonight are the ones that are the remainder of. Okay. Now that will, as you can see, 1 will remain in reserve, and I'm about to make the statement to you that whoever is not selected tonight, and going forward, Mr. Wilson did inform me that possibility may occur that he wouldn't be here, and that evidently came to fruition. So, okay.
Who is Mr. Wilson?
Mr. John Wilson lives on State Route 54.
Will you still entertain another couple questions?
Yeah, sure.
With all due respect, you did say we have solicited these applicants. And so it sounds like maybe the selection process didn't cast a wide net. And in order to avoid the perception of impropriety, there was a notice in the paper on Friday, there was a meeting on Monday. The notice was that we're going to discuss the filling of positions. Now it looks like we've got, and no disrespect to the candidates, it's just about the process. That now it looks like we've got 4 candidates and we're going to fill 3 or 4 positions with 4 candidates. It seems a little preconceived almost.
Okay, taking your words, let me put them on a sounding board. It would appear that individuals attending a meeting in which the adjoining property owners were not invited to speak beyond staff, yet lawyers were and were not defined as such. How do I balance that as appropriate?
I'm not following you, I'm sorry.
Okay.
If you're asking me.
Yeah. Okay, doesn't matter.
If I may, I may not be as famous as like the 2 gentlemen sitting here beside me, but I don't know a lot of you sitting in here, and I do want to say this before you guys move on. I stated my position. I work for the state of Ohio, and every year I go through ethics training, and my job literally is at the request of the governor and the superintendent. So I understand what you're all saying here and what your concerns are, because I do represent the students and adults of Ohio. So I did feel like Ben Carson sitting here for a little bit, because I didn't get no questions. I'm seeing stuff going back and forth.
You want somebody to attack you?
Yeah, I want someone to attack me, man. I tell you. But I don't want this to move forward and there be preconceptions because of what my last name is, because that has nothing to do with me sitting here today. And I would hate for us to move forward, and if the board so chooses that I get to serve the township, if something needed to be said, I would prefer to hear it here instead of hearing it second nature. That's the only thing I ask professionally. I'm sure these gentlemen would request the same thing.
Okay, well, I'd like to address Mr. Cole, because he's an honorable person. There has been extensive amount of discussion concerning improprieties. We all live in a glass house. I am taking mine very serious. They're holding these three trustees responsible for the conduct of individuals and their process and procedures. We cannot affect that unless, by certain terms, there are state agencies that will correct it. But going forward, I've been called and requested that we petition, or at least I have brought this up in discussion with these gentlemen, probably every meeting, okay? The insensitive issues, statements by others, okay? How you find the course that we are presently taking, if you find it offensive or not, it's at least making steps forward, and I'm a firm believer in the lack of doing nothing, do something that will progress us towards doing more and doing it better. I'm trying to get training. We're working with council, and I don't know if Jane's indicated to the different members, but that is forthcoming, and we have to get that consistent training. So, yes, we have every intention. Your comments taken. Mr. Johnson, thank you. Mr. Rittenhouse, thank you. Mr. Cole, thank you. But this is my intentions, unless so directed or questioned by the trustees, to move forward with tonight's appointments.
We gotta make the appointments.
Chuck?
You call me. You what? You wanna go with the appointment tonight, that's fine with me. It's up to you.
Yes, sir.
If I, Mr. Williams made a comment that I didn't understand a minute ago. He said his last name had nothing to do with it. Is there a connection between the Williams?
I didn't even think about
He
it.
is my son, and I will recuse myself on voting for him.
Okay, I didn't understand the inference. Thank you.
If I may, part of the thing, like I said, I work for the state, and within ethics, a lot of this I disclose, and that's all part of it. So that's why I wanted to make that comment, because I didn't want anybody sitting here feel that you did not know something.
Okay.
That's something you'll always get from me.
Just a comment, just so Mr. Williams Jr. knows that half the people that are sitting out here are members of the Board of Zoning Appeals and the Zoning Board.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Then, the chair understands your comments, Mr. Cole, which is effectively stating that the process, given the past process, this is leagues ahead. We don't wait till there's a meeting coming 2 days, show up, and you're appointed because there's a vacancy. There was no vetting, no questions that came close, similar, or likened to any of this. Yes, sir.
I don't mean to be challenging here, but
You are, good.
But you're trying to challenge. You're kind of throwing a lot of challenges out, and
Yep.
frankly, those 6 questions or 7, whatever it was, anybody could sit and honestly answer yes. No one could answer no to most of those and have any kind of conscience. So the only one that weeds somebody out is whether they have legal issues going on. So frankly, I don't see that indoctrination really does a lot. It's an interesting exercise, and I don't know that it's leagues ahead. I do know that I waited a couple years after writing several letters, saying I'd like to participate, before anyone ever reached out to me. So it wasn't just drop into a meeting and get appointed type situation, for the record. That was my recollection.
How were you notified that you were appointed?
I wasn't.
Or at the meeting?
I wasn't, and that was terrible. I showed up as an alternate, as I always did, for the meetings, and when it came time to vote, somebody said, hey, you're supposed to be over here because you were appointed 2 meetings ago.
Correct.
But no one told me anything.
Correct. confusion led to interpretation, not only going forward, but past practice, and I was as confused, and I thought that was a disservice to any individual who would apply to involve himself. I thought it was a disservice. Now, to answer your question, you feel this is totally unnecessary. How many people have approached any of you? Have you received as many as 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, dozen comments in a given 48-hour or 1 work week concerning conduct of boards or whatever, and holding us responsible? How many of you? You don't need to answer that. The questions are coming from the people concerning due process. Is it being fairly and interpreted without prejudice? Pre-assumed, guys coming in and assuming that a piece of property is being applied for a permit to do this or that, and in fact, it may well be for a wind turbine or substation or something else. And that mindset prejudices individuals all over. It's got to stop. It's got to stop. Because if it's not one, it can be another. And I find it interesting. I think this has achieved its goal. If you find no value in it, that anybody can answer. This, as that gentleman right there said, will go on the record. And I'll tell you what, it can be a matter of a sort of removal in defiance or arrogance of a position. Okay? I don't have executive order, and I'm not appointing a Supreme Court justice to you serve till you die. That's not what we're doing. But in effect, some thought, once I'm on there, it doesn't matter who the trustees are, what political ideas or agendas, whatever, we're going to do this our way. Yes, ma'am.
I just would like to clarify, we have 2 alternates on the board on the zoning commission, and I think their expectation would be if there were vacancies, that they would move up. That's been the past practice. Will that continue to be the practice?
What's the appropriate, proper, and legal way? What's the interpretation of council saying?
Well, I would believe that the first alternate takes the first vacancy, the second alternate takes the second vacancy, and whoever may be appointed would be appointed as alternates.
Genuine question. Excellent. Does past practice make it right? Not necessarily. If someone interprets any kind of terminology in that book that states, or if there's anything there that states that is suggested, or this is what you do, then it's still at the will of, does the trustees appoint that person, or does the board themselves elect that individual to go forward? Julie, do you know the answer? What is supposed to be, if there's a legal process, do you know what it is? Joe?
They've already been appointed to the board, or they would be an alternate.
Thank you.
Okay.
So they should move up. They've already been appointed.
Question is, in what order?
Well, first alternate, second alternate. That's the normal procedure.
That's normal, but is that in legal verbiage to back it?
But I don't know that.
I
Without
would
reading it all out.
think so.
No harm, no foul, no harm. You know what I'm saying?
But they've already been appointed to the board, so they would serve first before a new appointee.
Yes.
So they've already been appointed to the board.
Okay.
And they've attended the meetings,
Yes.
and they've been diligent, and one of them is an officer.
Okay. Answered the question on notification of legal counsel, was told to fill the position of Mr. Hayden.
Well, you have first Mr. Henry. And then the first...
He was an alternate at the time.
No,
He left.
no, he wasn't.
He was active,
Yes.
and in this, and then in
Brad,
this
And
rotation.
then Brad McDavid
Okay.
would move into, and did move into his position. At least we believe that. And then the second one was David Hayden, and we would believe that Ken Davis would move into to that vacancy.
I can only move forward with what I had received from council. Council says that you first need to fill the chair, or the position of Mr. Hayden, and then fill the alternate. That was my directive.
Well, my expectation would be that Mr. Davis would be appointed to fill the position of Mr. Hayden, and then you would proceed to appoint 2 new alternates to the board.
Okay. Well, for purposes of tonight's meeting, the directive I got was to make an appointment for the position of the vacated seat of Mr. Hayden, and then one for the alternate's position.
And why wouldn't that appointment be for the alternates to move up? That's why the alternates attend the meetings and participate in the expectation of moving
I
up.
can't give you a definitive answer on that. I don't know. That would have to be until legal counsel.
Maybe we need to seek that
We're all
counsel.
recognizing that that's been past practice. Why would that change tonight? Legal counsel surely didn't advise that should change.
Legal counsel advised me what I just exactly told you.
That we got 2 positions to fill, but those positions could be
No,
alternates.
counsel said fill the vacant position of Mr. Hayden's seat, and then the alternate.
Then I would request that you appoint Mr. Davis to fill Mr. Hayden's place, and then appoint someone to take Mr. Davis's place as the alternate.
Well, then, what we can do would be to, until legal counsel advise otherwise, I'm going to proceed with exactly what was requested and hold that until clarification of legal counsel.
So you have access to that legal counsel, and I'm more than glad to do whatever counsel says. I'm more than willing to do that.
Isn't it just common sense that the alternates move up? Isn't that the way it's been practice? The implication. And you're right that past practice doesn't overrule, but typically you have to have some reason for doing it for past practice. And it doesn't seem like it makes any sense not to have alternates move up.
Well, it's just like there's nothing really wrong with what you're doing until someone complains.
Did council complain that alternates should move up?
I will not answer that question because I'm not aware of what its intention is. What do you want with clarification on that?
Well, I haven't had any discussions with Jane or any council about this, and it sounds like you've had quite a bit, so I was just asking if she had said alternates should not move up.
Don't assume more than what I'm actually telling you. I called for counsel to advise, and that's exactly what I've conveyed to these 2 gentlemen, is exactly what counsel gave.
Okay.
Honestly, I really have no preference nor desire to move in any direction other than getting the job done tonight. That's it. I have no agenda nor reason for personals or personality, because I am not a respecter of persons. I don't care who you are, how much money you got, or what you bring to the table. If you're a property owner, you're entitled by law.
So wouldn't the people who've already been appointed be entitled by law?
What do you mean entitled by law? That's already appointed.
I mean, you've
Is there
already
a law that states how they come down?
You've already appointed them to that. I think that what's happening here is that there is some procedural questions here, and maybe we need to go back and ask further advice from council. The people who are asking you these questions are certainly qualified. They are the president, the vice chair, and the vice chair of those commissions, and they have a vested interest in representing the people also and making sure that due process is done. And I'd like to see that here.
This could go on forever, Jerry.
You could make it go on forever. You're right, Ron. All I was saying was these people, being by the virtue of the positions that they hold within the township, that they have the right to have counsel with you also.
Everybody does. I'm more than glad to.
Well, the questions are asked in good faith.
They are, yeah.
And I will say that, if I may,
Sure, okay.
If that, for instance, I am now serving on the board because I started where everybody else started, as an alternate.
Same.
2 years I came as an alternate, and then somebody rotated off. I moved up. I mean, that's how we all did it. I think that would be perceived as the most impartial, even-handed way to do it.
It seems that way, but I'm telling you folks, I don't have the answers to your questions.
It's not a question, we're actually, and I'm trying to understand why that changed.
And you're setting precedent. The process, whoever comes in as an alternate might go a different way.
Let's redefine you. This chair is responding to directives of the legal counsel. I never asked for an interpretation. I said, what process do we need? This is what was stated. If they had no names, no faces, and were given numbers, this party would be happy with placing numbers according to the direction of council.
So is there a big rush to get it done tonight as opposed to doing it absolutely correctly, sir? What's the rush? You only did one business day notice. We had the meeting tonight, and there's some questions from people that are qualified to ask, and you seem in a rush to proceed.
That's because the meeting was established, it was advertised, and the agenda was set for the purpose of filling those jobs. These candidates are in response to it. It has been according to protocol that was acceptable by legal counsel, and this is what we're doing. To redefine all of this, I can't do that. And I'm not going to play the confusion game. I'm going to go with what directives were given. If this person or these individuals as a whole, it is not our intention to slight, fault, or deceive anyone. We're doing a job. We get the complaints. Trust me. It's the trustees that are held liable, they think, are responsible for any misunderstanding within the township or the agents of the township. Yes, ma'am.
Just a hypothetical question. If you find that your legal counsel misunderstood your question, would you go back and change it?
Change whether we have this meeting tonight?
No, change. I'm assuming that you are going to either specifically appoint people to alternate positions or to full board positions. If you jumped over the alternates and put something on the board, would you be willing to go back and undo that if council misunderstood what they were being asked?
I'm more than for doing whatever is right, whether I'm wrong or not. It's not about me. It's not about this group.
Well, I know. I'm just asking because
Absolutely.
I'm concerned about the perception of the alternate, and they're getting what they might perceive as due process. I would if I was the alternate.
Okay.
Who's already on the board now. Yes.
It's your call. All right. Question been called for in the debate and discussion at hand. It is imperative that we do something, and this is what we're going to do. I would recommend you gentlemen that we fill these positions, and the one in question by interest of the public. Okay? Those having vested interest are those who feel that they are board members and so have vested interest. And that's enough for me to want to know how council can clarify. And I think we make our appointments and let council decide whether that is going forward is right, wrong, or indifferent. Now, we're all, trust me, the way things were done, the way they used to be, and the way they've been redefined and reinterpreted, and now are being ruled on, a lot of people don't like it, especially the trustees themselves. Don't like it.
Don't like what again?
Making changes, past practice, ain't the way we always did it. Well, give up your mules and take on a tractor. Get up a tractor, take on a steam engine. Get up the steam engine, take on a big diesel. Don't like it. But it seems to be the process that we all must be ready to adapt for going forward. If it's redefining it, like I said, you can be doing anything and you're not wrong until somebody complains, and then you're not in compliance at the way the resolution reads at the time. Then you may well be finding yourself with a problem.
I would think that the applicants for the positions, particularly Mr. Williams, would not want the appearance of having the past practice thrown out for no good reason, so that he could be put ahead of the alternates. I just think that that would make maybe you uncomfortable, because the appearance, even if it's not, but the appearance would render it suspect. And I got nothing against your service at all. I'm just saying that the optics don't look good.
You know what? I've been told that many, many times. What's happening here doesn't look good, don't sound right, don't look right. We're caught in the middle. I hope I've made my case to you that what you think, what you interpret, and the way you think you can do what you want to do, those days are over.
Well, I don't.
Whoa.
Are you implying that we think we can do whatever
you
we want
meaning
to do?
the general public as such, okay? The general public as such. And I can sit here and bloviate all night long. I've got paid for talking 150 mile an hour or 200 mile an hour winds.
I got one
And
more.
I do have a little legal background. Go
Okay,
ahead.
I have one more question. This is quick. And it was suggested before that maybe if the appointments are made to the board, then the board itself decides who take the alternate spots and who takes the full
officers.
spots. Would that be
That's the
something
question.
that you would consider doing?
Well, that would be before the board as a such. Now, you're directing to the chair, but the chair is saying that these fellows are listening. And if that is a policy that needs to be established, trust me, you can check with this lady. I will define policy and seek the cooperation and the guidance of these two to do it. But I will push to make sure. Yes, sir.
This is all provisional law.
Correct.
If it says so, Julie, and Jane's checking with, we will follow the law. If the alternates should go in there first, that's been an established procedure. By law, we should do it. If it's otherwise, we'll let you know. And I want that on record that by law, we will do what is covered by law.
Exactly.
Thank you.
I'm not going to interpret and define anything more than what legal counsel gave me in litigation. That's my only resource. So I'm doing only what I was instructed in the process to do. And if it is where we have the latitude to make policy on the future
Understandings of that, hey, have at it, I'm ready for it. Whatever works and makes
people whole is all I care about. Okay, gentlemen. At this time, then, we need to look at filling the position that on the zoning commission, and that is the vacancy that was created by Mr. Hayden.
I'll nominate Doug Hurst for that position.
I'll second that nomination.
I was going to second you.
All right. You unanimous on that?
Yes.
All right. Then if I think that it's a general consensus, if we are as such, as a whole, it's unanimous, your consideration for Mr. Hurst in that position. Okay? All right. On the zoning commission, gentlemen, we have an alternate position to be filled.
I'll nominate Mr. Pullins for that position.
That's
one or two positions. One position.
there. Okay, now, and I didn't ask earlier if there was what commission you would rather serve on. appointments anyway. You give it.
No. Either one.
Okay. All right, then,
That's why they call them appointments.
all right, we've only got 2 other positions of people. Let's go ahead and hold that nomination there. We have the zoning appeals position as an alternate, that is open. Okay, now, gentlemen, I will recuse myself on that. The chair offers the position. You gentlemen,
I nominate Kevin. I'll second that. In favor? In favor, aye. Say aye.
vice chair handle that. Thank you, sir. Okay, then that brings us back to the alternate position in we just did the zoning appeals, or the alternate. I'm sorry, yeah, we had the zoning appeals. Isn't that what I had? I got my notes mixed up here. I want to make sure.
Kevin Williams is the zoning appeals board replacement, so that leaves the zoning commission that we held. It said, hold on. we're gonna
Okay,
do that
the
one.
alternate for the zoning
Yes.
commission. Okay, that's where you wanted, that's where you redefined it.
The positions we feel we read those.
You you filled the zoning commission, you filled the David Hayden's position
Yes.
has been filled by Mr. Hurst.
Yes.
Well, that's, okay,
The
okay.
zoning commission, the other zoning commission position was held in abeyance until we discussed the zoning appeals board position, where you guys both, you nominated and you seconded
Mr. Williams.
Mr. Williams, which leaves a third position, or if you're gonna fill the other position with an applicant, that would be Mr. Pullins. And that's an alternate zoning commission position.
I want to make sure I straighten them. That's why I got comment on.
Okay. Well, yeah, because I thought you were looking at Kevin on the zoning commission and Mr. Pullins on the zoning appeals.
You already did it.
Huh?
No, it was.
No, I just wanted to clarify that. That's what I'm saying.
Zoning appeals, zoning commission, correct.
Okay, then
Position.
the alternate to the zoning commission
Yes,
then
that's also left.
would be left to
Mr. Pullins.
Mr. Pullins.
Yes. That's-
Okay. Now, gentlemen, these are the nominations that has been made and is accepted as such. Are you comfortable with those positions of appointment? Okay. Any vote we need to redefine? Okay, because I do not want to get
No, I
into a
just want to make
situation
sure I
like
have
Kevin.
it. Yeah, we voted on Kevin.
Okay, I just want to make. Here, Mr. Hayden has been appointed by another board, Mr. Hurst,
On the zoning.
and the alternate to that zoning commission would be Mr. Pullins, and appointment to the zoning appeals board as made by the board and informed to me would be you, Mr. Williams.
But with that said, it's done, it will be taken to the prosecutor's office about procedural versus alternates versus who.
Oh, okay. Well, no, these appointments will stand, the clarification of where they go.
They'll both be appointed to the board, but if she says we should do the due process.
Correct.
First alternate, second alternate,
Let them handle
they
it.
will become alternates rather than appointed to the board.
Well,
They're on the board, but they're alternates.
you just appointed Mr. Williams as an alternate to the Board of Zoning Appeals. Right?
Right.
Okay,
No, that was not as an alternate.
that's what I heard.
No.
We
Well,
missing
we've got
somebody?
We have 5 members already, so then there's another issue if it's not an alternate position.
It is an alternate position.
That's not. stated.
That's not how you stated it.
That's why I got confused.
Yeah.
That's why I asked when to relay that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've already got 5 board members, you can't displace.
Right.
So I need to correct my minutes to say that this is replacing an alternate who's come off out of the alternate pool.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, unless you're looking for resignations to open up slots, we can solicit those.
Dan was on the board, but he resigned, so the first alternate moved into his position.
That was on the zoning commission.
Right.
And then you just took him out.
Who came out of the zoning appeals board in the alternate spot? Who was that?
Frank, maybe the last one, or was it was me or Frank, I guess.
I was the last appointment.
Last.
Who's the alternate now? Mr. Wilson? He's already an
Terry
alternate?
Stoll. Terry Stoll was the last one on.
Terry Stoll.
You're right.
Yeah.
I don't have the paper with me.
Now, we're holding Mr. Wilson's
Yeah.
request.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's still be available.
I've got a neighbor, Mark Baker, that I thought had expressed interest. He didn't have any application or a letter of interest in.
We had a bunch of applications. They were submitted my first term. They were in this filing cabinet, we went through every application of anybody who wanted to serve. There were a couple that put in, and we asked them, they didn't want to serve. So that's why this new bank came about, Jim. There's been nobody else submit that we're aware of.
But he did it back around Christmas.
Yeah, but a lot of people tell you they want to do it, and they never come to the paperwork.
And that happened here. You wouldn't believe the number of people, I'll be there. Didn't say it, you know.
Past practice was, it's like pulling teeth.
That's right.
I guess
Right, I know, I'm not trying to get people involved.
We'll see what kind of results we get if we do put an ad in the paper, exactly what.
Yeah, if we want to adopt that as a policy.
Yeah.
But now, if there's a mandate directed by law, then we're going to do it anyway. But it's at the discretion of the trustees, I think you'll find that. So, in the past, it was whoever showed up, had to get them in there before the next meeting.
I asked for adjournment.
Okay, is there anything else that we need to bring before? Okay, that motion to adjourn, Jim?
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carried. Meeting.
Sure. I'll be here tomorrow. I gotta go together and do it all day today.
So how would that have gone if we weren't here? Christ. You know these.
Bull crap I've ever heard.
You know.
That is such bullshit.
They fucked it up because they were wanting to put Poland's on BZA, and he messed it up.
Huh?
He wanted to put Poland's on BZA, and that's why he stopped.